the puck. The Johnstown Tomahawks present Hockey Central. Now here's your host, Troy Roberts.
Happy holidays, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the Christmas season. It feels like months since I've done this show. And it's only been a couple weeks, but it feels like an eternity. It was great to talk to Coach Letizia today. Also, as always, great to talk to Mike Gosnell, Communications Manager. The boys are back in town, I guess. I should have maybe played that music at the beginning of the show. But the boys are back practicing. They have a game on Friday night against Alaska Fairbanks. They're ready to start the second half of the season. And I'm going to talk to Coach today, recapping the first half of the season. You know, they went into a little slump there at a portion of that first half, but they pulled out of it and ended the first half pretty strong. And they're excited about the second half of the season. A ton of home games coming up. And Mike Gosnell is going to tell you about ways that you can come out and support the Johnstown Tomahawks. So we have a great show in store for you today. Sit back, relax, and listen to what Coach has to say about his Johnstown Tomahawks.
It is always with great pleasure that I welcome in Coach Mike Letizia to the show. Coach, it's been a while since we talked, and it was the holiday break. So before we get into the show, how was your holiday?
It was awesome. I spent a lot of time with my family. Saw some of my friends. Was able to make it back home to Chicago for a few days and see my family back, which was awesome. A lot of time with my parents, and I shared Christmas with my wife's family here in town, and just kind of wrapped the break and looking forward to getting back on the ice with the boys and getting some rust off from the couple of weeks we had off, but getting going.
Yeah, well, I know you're the guy that celebrates Christmas. Gets your stuff up and gets going. It was nice that you could get back home. I didn't get to get back to the Midwest, but I had a very good holiday here too. But now it's, like you said, a little bit of a break. It's probably refreshing to be able to let the boys get off, and then they come back, and I bet you they're itching to get going, Coach.
Yeah, definitely. We had that last weekend road series in Wilkes-Barre, the 10th and the 11th. We had two close games. We were able to sweep the weekend. We were a little shorthanded. Obviously, we had some guys. We had Donovan Ott was called up to the USHL. We had Dalton Hunter, who played a couple games in the USHL, and then was playing basically 4 games in 3 days. And then some guys banged up. We had some guys suspended. We had guys that came down really sick going into that last game on Sunday. And to pick up a 1-0 shutout win. Both goalies ended up actually getting in the game. Drew started the first start of the game and played the first period. Got a little banged up, wasn't feeling too good. So, going into the second, put Vinny Perper in for the second and third. He just came right in and, picked up where Drew left off and was rock solid the rest of the game. And I was really proud of the guys. They really persevered through a lot of adversity there that last day with just a lot of details that were going on. And especially going into Christmas break, they could have, looked past that game and already, settled into home, but they definitely went out there. They made it count, and so we were able to enjoy the break, going in on a better note. And then, talking to a lot of different guys throughout the last couple of weeks, they were all enjoying it, using the time wisely, but all let me know how anxious they were to get back into Johnstown and get her going again.
Sure. Now, Coach, you had mentioned something, and for the, casual fan and maybe even a lot of our listeners, you had mentioned call-ups. To let the listeners know how call-ups work, you're in the NAHL, and you mentioned call-ups. How do those work with the boys when they get called up? Can you let the listeners know, what that process is and how that works when you're coaching an NAHL team?
Yeah, this one was unique. What happens is the team in the USHL, they lost 2 players to international competition. So when that happens, you're allowed to bring a replacement player in that doesn't have to be added to your roster. You don't have to do a transaction to do so. Similar in our league, if something happened like that with us, we were able to do it. But you have to lose 2 players. So, Tri-City reached out and asked about bringing Donovan in for the 2 weeks that they had players gone. And so based upon our schedule and, the opportunity to go up, he decided to go up and He's able to play a couple games with those guys. Different things happen. Some guys are affiliated, some guys aren't. It's a very unique situation, to be honest, because technically the USHL is a better league, or I shouldn't say better league. It's a tier 1 league, so it's viewed or regarded as a step up. But at the end of the day, our league's a very, very, very good league as well. So sometimes it's a call up. Sometimes players are having opportunities in our league or with our team that maybe aren't the same opportunities they would get at the next level. They and where they're at with us is perfectly fine for them, and they're getting their opportunities and they're getting their exposure to the colleges and everything that they want. So every situation is different. It's kind of unique. Obviously, Brit League was property of a USHL club, so our goalie, so when that happened, he was recalled there. That's something that you expect. Different things happen. Again, it's a unique situation. There's not like a true affiliation of a team to team. A player can be affiliated with the USHL club, but not necessarily a team. So it's a little unique in every situation. I guess it's its own situation, and in Donovan's case, he went up as a replacement player, and he'll be back with us, for Friday night in Fairbanks or Friday night home against Fairbanks, and so different things happen, but outside of Phillips Buncis, who's right now playing the World Junior Championships for Latvia, everybody should be there for Friday night.
Sounds good. Now I know you get a player like that, and you talk about the exposure and the opportunity to play in front of the college scouts. But from that player standpoint, Coach, how difficult is it for that that call-up just for 2 weeks? I mean, you're going to a team that you're not familiar with. You're trying to jump in, get some playing time, get some ice time. Let the listeners know exactly how difficult of a transition it is for a player to jump up and go to a new team on short notice and then just for a limited time.
Yeah, it's difficult in any situation because you don't really know what type of role you're going to have when you go up there. A lot of times, you may not get the exact same role that you have with the team that you're on. With a team like us, and so you just have to kind of be able to adjust. Just compete and play the right way. And that's the type of thing we try to tell our guys all the time is just play the right way. And a lot of times. That can allow you to adjust a little bit. Obviously, it's going to be a different setup. The teams can have a little different philosophy, a little different style. Playing with players that you never played with before, so that becomes a little bit tricky. But, in our guys' situations, we hope that, they're all good players. They're all smart players. They compete hard. And, we like to think we do the best we can to play the right way. And, going up there and that's all they can, try to do is just play their game and hopefully things fall into place. I will say, I was watching the Latvia USA World Junior Championship game yesterday. It was on NHL Network, and our captain Phillips was playing in it. And unfortunately, I guess I shouldn't say unfortunately, but unfortunately for him, USA knocked him off 6-1. Obviously, as an American, it was good to see USA won. I was hoping for a 3-3 tie and Phillips to get a hat trick, but. That didn't happen, but I thought he played really well. Just watching that game, obviously I think USA controlled a lot of the possession, a lot of the control, of the zone time, the scoring chances. But if you watch a lot of Phillips' shifts, he was noticeable. He was really physical, threw some big hits. He was really responsible, played 200 feet. When he got his opportunities, he did what he could with them, and I just was proud of him. He played the right way. You look at him; he was never lazy. He was always responsible away from the puck. He did a lot of things that, again, that maybe go unnoticed or don't appear on a score sheet. But, in a game when they were kind of facing an uphill battle against a really good, USA team, he played the right way and played well. So that's all you can really hope for when you go to a new challenge. Is you got to play the right way. You got to compete, and and ultimately you hope things take care of themselves.
Yeah, for him, that's a great honor to be able to play on that team, and. For you guys to have a player of that nature, I mean, he's been one of the strong catalysts for you in the first half, and I kind of want to recap that right now. You guys ended I guess you call it the first half, but going into the break, ended with 40 points, probably not where you wanted to be. That's good for third place in the division right now. But Phillips played a pretty big role in the team's success along with a couple other guys. When you look at that first half, Coach, You got the names. You got Hunter Ott. You got Drew Ott in goal. But when you look at the first half, a quick synopsis, of things that went well, and things that you're looking forward to here in the second half or after the break of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you said we're obviously, points wise we're in third place. We have 5 games in hand on New Jersey, so we actually have a much better winning percentage than they do. These next 5 games are our opportunity to make up some ground, hopefully pass them in points. I think it's we're sitting with I think it's the 3rd or 4th best winning percentage in the league. We've played a low amount of games compared to everybody else, so obviously you got to win the games that you have in hand. But at the end of the day, last year going into our Christmas break, I believe we had 33 games played and 34 points. And then going into the break this year, we have 28 games played and 40 points. So we're ahead of last year's pace. We got to make sure we keep it up. We had that little funk there, for a couple of weeks where I think that obviously ultimately hurt us from maybe even being in first place going into the break. But those are things we had to learn from. If you just want to recap the first half or the first 28 games, obviously we had an outstanding start, especially with playing away from the War Memorial for so long. And, it was, like I said, it was a really good start for us. A lot of heavy travel, a lot of kids playing away from home for the first time, playing junior hockey for the first time. So we really, really had a nice start. Our division's been tough the whole way through. And, as we learned in a short amount of time, if you have a few hiccups that, you're going to, falter in the standings a little bit. But fortunately, after we went the wrong way for a few weeks, we were able to bounce back for the next few weeks and, kind of get back in the thick of it. So, we've seen some players, obviously have some great individual starts, some veterans that have really evolved, from last season to this season in their game and taken a new role, both up front and on the back end. We've seen some young guys, some rookies that are young and don't necessarily have a ton of junior hockey experience, but they're playing like veterans and they're working hard and, making big contributions. And, like I said, it's just, it's been refreshing as a coach to see the work ethic, to see the team first attitude. I obviously we have a long way to go. But I like the passion the guys have for the game, for their team. I think that little bit of adversity hopefully, helped us and, help us in the long run for, more than not. And, like I said, it's, not necessarily where we want to be. We want to be in first place. And it's not terrible though where we're at. We just got to keep getting better. You have a heck of a lot of guys getting some serious Division I interests. We have guys that are getting Division I offers, a lot of them. And, so it's, right now there maybe not as many press releases going out about our guys making a decision, but there's a lot of them that have gotten offers, good Division I offers that, they're just making sure that it's what fits them and, on and off the ice. So, knock on wood, there was a lot of good things that were going on for our club in the first half. And, after this break, we just got to make sure that we pick up where we left off and get back to work and keep those good things coming. A lot of home games coming up, a ton of home games. Obviously, played a heavy road schedule to start the season. So a lot of home games, games we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to pick up as much points as possible and keep heading in the right direction as we head month after month into April and into the playoffs.
Well, Coach, you mentioned a couple of things I want to get into, but then you also mentioned something, so you kind of put a wrinkle in all of my questions for you. And it's about it's a good wrinkle. It really is, because you brought up something I think is very important with what you're doing in Johnstown. You're there to develop players to get to the next level. We've talked about it many times on this show. You're mentioning these offers that are coming to the players. I want to ask you, because when I was playing high school soccer, my coach was very instrumental in helping me decide a path for college. I was a guy that I want Division I. I want Division I. I ultimately ended up playing Division III soccer because I wanted to play. I was good, but I wasn't great. And so I could have played Division I, sat on the bench for 3 years, maybe played a little bit at the end of my career. Instead, my coach directed me to a school that allowed me to start for 4 years. How instrumental are you in helping these players not get overwhelmed with an offer and say, hey, let's sit down, let's really look at this in a realistic standpoint. Is it a good fit for you? Will you be able to utilize your skills, and will it help you develop? How instrumental are you in helping these kids decide those things?
Yeah, I do my best to try to provide as much knowledge as I possibly can to them. There's a lot of things that go into it when you're picking a school that you're going to ultimately go to, to play hockey, or if you're just going there as a regular student. But and that's the thing, the kids have to be smart about it. Obviously, everybody wants to be a Division I athlete, at the best possible situation they could have. But sometimes you have to look at everything. You have to make sure that's a school that you're going to be able to succeed in, away from the game. You got to make sure that's a place that, you're going to be happy at and ultimately have success in the classroom. You want to make sure that if you're going to go there and play hockey, you have a good opportunity to play. But at the same time, if you're not going to have an immediate opportunity to have a big time role with the team, are you willing to work and accept the role you're going to have to start? But make sure it doesn't affect you personally, emotionally, so it doesn't affect your studies, and you can keep up with your grades and work your way into the lineup and work an opportunity, for a bigger role. And there's so many different things. Another part of it too is you have military schools that provide Division I hockey, and you got to make sure that that you're going into the military, if you choose that path. And they're great opportunities, good hockey programs, but ultimately every kid has to decide that as well, so there's a lot of things that go into it, and again, like you said, making sure that that, hey, Division I is great, but if it's not something that fits you, and there's really, really strong Division III programs as well that, provide a great education and great hockey opportunity. We have guys that have been able to go to both paths. We have guys that are having great success playing Division I hockey. We have guys who, maybe don't have the role that they want right now in the Division I, but they're working their butts off. They're getting, any possible chance they have, they're going to try to take it. They're doing well in the classroom. We have guys that, are playing Division III hockey, having great Division III careers, having a great time in college. One of our old players, Mitch Hall, honestly, a couple months ago, I was talking to him, and I said to him, he was the one kid that there's more than one, but he was one for sure that I said I couldn't believe he didn't get to play Division I hockey, and there was just a few different factors, a couple schools that it didn't work out with, whether it was, academics or financial, whatever the situation would have been. But he just kind of looked at me and said, it's really not I'm very happy where I'm at, and everything's great, so it's one of those things too. And it's tough to, with the kids, because it's a lot of pressure on them, and it's a really stressful time, especially for the guys who are 20, because they don't have any junior eligibility left, and they're trying to decide on their futures, and it's they played hockey their entire lives, and so for me it's a 24/7 job, and I'm on the phone as much as I possibly can with colleges, whether it's phone calls, text, emails, seeing them in person in the rinks, anything, talking through resources. I'm not going to lie, yesterday during Phillips' game, people are watching on TV, and after the first period, there was 3 or 4 schools that were reaching out to me through email, text, call, talking about him and how he was playing. So, things like that, everything happens in a really weird way, so it's just the way it is, and you just do the best you can to open up as many doors as you can for these guys, and then, be there to help them. And ultimately, their families are going to be a big help as well. And I always tell the kid, I will do everything I possibly can to help you. And then, but you also got to remember, do what makes you happy, because, once you walk out the door, from Johnstown, you got to make sure you're able to go enter college on your own, and it's a place that you're going to be happy on and off the ice. And that's the most important thing, because we are in this obviously as a business for hockey players, to obviously get them to the next level, create better hockey players, win hockey games, but ultimately you want to hope that you can create better people and make these guys ready to enter the real world. And it's a tough world out there, and if I have a small hand in their future, it's satisfying. And honestly, getting the amount of text and calls I got on Christmas from current players and past players, it meant a lot to me, because that they still remember you, and then you had a small piece of their life that they'll always remember, and that's really important to me.
Yeah, Coach, you brought up something there at the end. I don't know if I told you, I coached soccer for 14 years, and I coached a youth team in Green Bay, and you bring up the relationships later in life. I still look in my man cave, and I still have little things from kids that they gave me stuff. And it's funny because you keep those relationships and you see them grow into men, and you can't help but smile inside, thinking that you had a little bit to do with that. So from me to you, Coach, I pat you on the back, and I asked that question for a reason, like I said, because I put a lot of faith in my coach to guide me on the soccer end and to direct me into a place, like you said, where I would have the opportunity, and I know you're doing that with these guys. So my hat's off to you, Coach, because I know from that standpoint, off the ice, that's very critical to a lot of players. And I don't think a lot of fans recognize or realize how much work goes in off the ice. But back to the ice, Coach. Going into the second half, this should be an exciting second half of the season. You mentioned earlier a lot of road games in the beginning. So this second half of the season is filled with a ton of home ice. How important is that to you to make a surge into the playoffs?
It's huge, for us, for the short term, you have the two Alaska teams coming into town. We went out there in October. We had a lot of success against them. We were 19 seconds away from taking all 10 points, which would have been great. So they're obviously going to come in here. We're looking for a little bit of revenge. Fairbanks won their last series. Kenai picked up a couple wins recently. They're going to compete hard. Fairbanks is always a good hockey club. So we're going to have our hands full, for these next 5 games. It's kind of odd. We have a weekend off again, so it's just a little strange. But, so we're kind of, I guess, breaking it down a little bit and, looking at maybe these next five as a pack here. Obviously, one game at a time, Friday night first, and then, we have a little bit of a break. So, for us, like this week of practice is going to be huge. Getting back in the swing of things, obviously shaking some rust off a little bit, get our timing down, get our sharpness down, build our conditioning back up. We know Friday is going to be, maybe a little sloppy to get going. You got two teams that have been on a Christmas break that have been traveling and haven't played in a little while. So just getting back into it and maybe a little bit of sloppy. So, again, it goes back to making sure you're playing the right way, making sure you're competing so you put yourself in a position to overcome that sloppiness a little bit by doing things that you're supposed to be doing and doing them right, So it's going to start there. And then, like I said, it's heavy home schedule. And for us, we want to have a home ice advantage come the playoffs. That's a first small step is to make sure we secure a home ice advantage in the playoffs. Hopefully, that's by winning the division, which is still clearly in our sights. And, so for us, getting these home games, we have to make sure that we take them in our favor. We had success on the road, which was great, and you have to have that to win. But you also want to make sure that you own your home ice, and it's something that I would love to see us really take advantage of in the second half. And you do that, and you make it difficult for people to want to come here and play because they know what they're going to get, and hopefully that's how we play. We have to. It's home ice is got to be a sacred thing for your team, and it's a tough battle. Obviously, you have so many different elements. It's kind of funny because you have a different crowd atmosphere on all the places, so the road teams actually get probably even just as fired up, to come and play in our building when you have, so many fans, and it's a little bit different than what they're used to. So, they get fired up as much, and they have a nice setup in the War Memorial. So it's sometimes, you're battling that. As weird as that sounds, it's a little bit unique. So for our guys, again, I've said it, 4 or 5 times probably throughout this call, but it's about, playing the right way. And it's something that, I tell the guys, and it's a little bit of a, funny thing. We joke around about it, but it's, and I tell them, you're going to hear me say it 100, 200 times. It's funny because it's you can see it, when it goes one way or the other, and the guys buy into it. And when they do, they know that they're hopefully going to have, more success than not. So, again, you kind of got off track there, but, it's really important for us to have success during this home stretch. And, like I said, it's going to be a good week of practice. And, it starts Friday, and it's one day at a time. But Fairbanks is going to come in here, and they're going to be looking for wins. They need them, and we're going to be ready to match them.
Well, see, you say you got off track. I'm going to get off track one more time, and then I'm going to go back to my last question. But you mentioned, the accommodations of visiting teams. Coach, you got to stop being such a generous host and being so nice to these people. Brings me to a question. Funny question, because you brought it up, and you were talking, and I'm thinking when I was playing, how many bad locker rooms I went to, and how many bad training facilities I went to. So my question to you is, Coach, during your playing career, what was the worst atmosphere that you went to as a player? I can think of one where I went and literally we were in, it seemed like a storage closet, and you got 20 guys trying to dress in a room that was like 8 by 10, and it sucked. What is your worst experience?
As a player, as a youth hockey player, there were probably some really bad ones. Junior hockey, I was pretty fortunate. Being in the OHL, there was some pretty high standards of what they had to upkeep, so we were pretty lucky. Our facilities when you went on the road were pretty good. Some were a little better than others. Some you had a full pro style locker room, how our visiting teams get in Johnstown. Some you had the regular locker rooms, but you usually got two, and you had a lot of space, and you were kind of private on one side. So, and then same in pro for the most part, they were pretty accommodating. So I was pretty lucky in that regard. For our guys, it's different because you play in a stadium. You play in a professional stadium where the accommodations and everything's a little bit different. And we go on the road and everybody has the same setup with the same availability to give you. You're hoping they're doing their best, but it is what it is. And again, it goes back to just limiting the distractions and try not to make excuses. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, but you just try to make the best of it, and hopefully it doesn't cause you too many problems. I will say, speaking back to Fairbanks, I will say they have a great atmosphere to play in out there in Alaska. They're ran top notch. Their whole town is Fairbanks Ice Dogs. Everywhere you go, it's Fairbanks Ice Dogs. Their fans are looking at you like they want to kill you when you walk into a restaurant. I think maybe even talked about it before. It's legit. It's legit. And their fans, when you hit the ice, it's 2,500 fans that are ready to wring your neck, and they want to do anything they can to get you off your game and get under your skin. And they're very, very passionate, and they're very, very, menacing, but they do it from the start of the game to the end of the game, and afterwards it's over. It's a fun environment, and for the guys that go in, they enjoy going there. And like I said, similar to when fans come into Johnstown, it's one of those things where it gets you a little extra motivation. So that's why when I was talking about it, it's for us, to understand that the road team is going to get a little bit extra jolt, from the fans that we have by the size of them and how they get in the game. So for us, we just got to make sure that we'll obviously one-up them and play our game.
Sure. So my last question, Coach, and I'm going to get into one other personal question after that. But you had the break, and you mentioned, getting back to practice, getting the rust off. So as a coach, you're looking at this break, and what are some of the things that you do to ensure that these guys get back and they can, get back from the break and then get back on the ice and not stop where they left off before the break? What are some of the things that you do to ensure that this team is ready to get going Friday night?
Well, first and foremost, I definitely believe in them having a good Christmas break. When we looked at our schedule, where it was laid out, to me it was a no-brainer. These guys are they're young kids still. I talked about their age before, and there's some young kids that family is very important to them, and when you have an opportunity to get a break and visit with family, get away from the game for a little bit, recharge your bodies. You got to make sure you do it. This season's a long grind, and there's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of physical, mental, emotional activity that goes through your body. And, when you have an opportunity to rest up and kind of get a little healthy, whether you're banged up, you're sick, you're run down, whatever the case may be, you got to have it. You got to enjoy it. So we wanted to make sure that they did that. At the same time, when that happens, these kids, they get home, they enjoy it for sure, but they start to, they miss their guys here. We're another family as well, and that's the way we like to look at each other. And, so they come back excited and, ready to go. They miss the game a lot. These kids all love the game. They have a passion for it, so they end up missing the game a lot. And, for us, we just want to make sure, again, we gotta just get back in the flow, get back in the swing of things, but create a good atmosphere right away, have some fun, compete hard, get the competing back into us, right away, and again, just make it a good, fun, competitive week where everybody is anxious to get on the ice Friday night for a game, and that's really the biggest thing. And just keep preaching what we want to preach all the time. Again, about playing the right way and get excited and look at the task at hand in front of us and as our next challenge and get ready for it.
Yeah, it's going to be great to get back on the ice. I'm going to talk to Mike a little later about the upcoming promotion. So, Coach, you yourself have got a chance to have a little break, get away from the ice, get away from the arena. I know when you're coaching, you don't have a lot of time to sit down, get all caught up on NHL, NFL. So did you get caught up on all the major sports? Did you get back into the NFL? Did you get back into the NHL? Your Blackhawks sitting in first place, Coach.
Yeah, they've done a heck of a job. It's one of those things where every season they're always gonna look at them and say, is this the season that they fall off? And it seems like they never do, and they're always there and they're always right in the middle of everything. And, I think that's just the tradition of excellence that they have. And it's something that, their organization, instills in their players, instills, right from the top, from their, Rocky Wirtz, their owner, right down to, the guy that probably paints the logos on the ice, the Zamboni. Everything is going to, going to be excellence, and it's something that's been pretty marvelous to watch. And they have a great group of players there, a great core of players, and they continue to build around them with young up-and-coming rookies or, guys from, free agents that they were able to get at a value price that fit into the mold. And, the biggest thing is everybody wants to have a chance to win, and I think that's what happens to the Blackhawks is every year, they have a chance to win. And so that's why they have success, and they play the right way, and they have and again, Pippers brought it back up again, but that's something that we'd love to have here in Johnstown, and we hope that we're building it. We hope that this is a place that players understand that it's an excellent opportunity for them, and so for the Hawks, it's been. It's been fun to watch. I mean, you look at all the different things. They had Taves out for weeks. They had Seabrook out. Corey Crawford had the appendectomy and missed 10 games, and their backup just steps right in, plays next 10 games, plays very well. They don't look like they ever missed a beat, and it's just they're fun to watch. It's just something that and the thing is, there's a lot of good hockey teams out there. The parity in the NHL we talked about before is phenomenal. It's been incredible to just watch the NHL. In the little bit that I can see it, I truly, this is probably one of the years that I really haven't got a whole lot of NHL time. Be on the road a lot. When I get home, I want to make sure I do what I can to spend as much time with my wife and my daughter as I possibly can. So that overtakes hockey, the NHL on TV a little bit. And I did watch a lot of the Cubs World Series games, which I was pretty happy about. But I honestly, as weird as it sounds, I probably rewatch World Series the highlights I had DVR on my TV sometimes more than the NFL, because it's just like one of those things where you're so happy that the Cubs won the World Series, you couldn't believe it happened, and I want to just rewatch it again. But and then for the last couple of weeks, I just really, obviously, physically, we haven't had practice with the guys, but it's been mainly just again getting in touch with the colleges and getting them out, making them aware of our games, making them aware of our players, staying in communication with them. We didn't have a weekend off, so we had to make sure that you're staying in their ear and making sure that you're on them as much as you possibly can about the players we have here and the talent we have here. So I did a lot of that. Spent a lot of time with my 3-year-old, which was awesome. My wife's a school teacher, so she still working, didn't have any time off, but a lot of great time catching up with my daughter. But again, it was one of those things where after a day or two, it's kind of like, what do I do now? You're not going to the rink. First day or two, you enjoy the rest. But then it's like, okay, I want to do something. So I want to make sure I stayed on top of it with the colleges as much as I could. I just worked on a few different things, just looking at some different, things for myself to, make sure I'm doing what I can for the guys and just looking ahead and, some scheduling and as far as, knowing when, like I said, Phillips will be at the World Juniors and, hopefully, we have a Riley Doyen hopefully coming off the injured reserve list here soon. So just little different things and, scouting, Nick Shackford out scouting some good tournaments that are going on right now. So a lot of things going on. Again, like I think I've said before, this thing never rests. It never rests. You think you have some time off, but you really don't. But it's something that I absolutely love. And, if you can't put 100% into it, then I don't think it's worth doing. So, again, a great physical little break there, but, never stops. So it's
nice.
fun.
So you had some time, like you said, with the family, your wife and daughter. Last question, then we'll wrap it up for the day. Santa came. What was her most coveted gift that she received this year from Santa?
God, she received a lot. She was good this year apparently. Santa brought her a ton of presents. Family and on both sides of her side of her dad's side and her mom's side did a lot.
Which one did she love the most?
It's hard to say. She is the most politically correct kid you'll ever meet in your life. You ask her what gifts she likes, and she I like them all. And and it is true. It seemed like every single thing that she saw on TV, she said she wanted, and somehow she remembered. So, and I think she got every single thing that she wanted. But she got a lot of cool stuff. She got some Disney stuff. She got she got some the Trolls movie. She got a lot of big toys, a lot of clothes, a lot of art, coloring, a lot of books. She's into a lot of different things, dance stuff. She's into dance, gymnastics. She got her first Tomahawks jersey.
Nice.
She got a lot of great stuff. It's just this age, it's unbelievable, to see them open up their gifts and see how happy, she gets on Christmas. And, but she's such a good kid that, she deserves everything.
Nice. Well, Coach, always a pleasure. I'm glad we're back on it. And we'll get together next week. Big weekend series coming up. I'm going to talk to Mike here in a little bit about the promotions for the fans, but you and I will get together next Tuesday, and we'll get back into the second half of the season, Coach. Thanks for coming on the show.
Sounds great. Good to catch up. Take care, Troy.
It is always great to talk to Coach Letizia, and I just want to say it again. I said it during the conversation. My hat's off to Coach for what he does off the ice. I know that there's a great product on the ice with the Johnstown Tomahawks, a lot of exciting times on the weekend, but the things he does off the ice to help these kids and build good character young men as they grow up, my hat's off to Coach. And now I'm going to bring in Mike Gosnell, the communications manager. Him and I are going to have a conversation about all the great things coming up in 2017 for your Johnstown Tomahawks.
It is with great pleasure that I welcome in communications manager Mike Gosnell to the show. Mike, how was your holiday, bud?
It was okay. Unfortunately, we had a little situation with a death in the family, so I was really occupied with that. But other than that, I had a relaxing holiday. Not used to getting so many weekends to myself without any hockey to watch for the Tomahawks, but I'm anxious to get back to the War Memorial this weekend.
Yeah, it seems like you and I haven't talked for months, and it's only been a couple of weeks. That tells you how much I really enjoy the show. But talked to Coach a little bit earlier on the show, and I know that the boys and him are itching to get back on the ice. They're back this week, and we talked about this great home schedule here in what we call the second half of the season. So I know there's a lot of great things going on with Johnstown Tomahawk hockey with all these home games coming up.
Yeah, obviously the big one is this weekend, the 30th and 31st, our New Year's Eve weekend slate against Fairbanks. Team we really don't see that up much here at the War Memorial. It's going to be an exciting weekend. We urge fans to get their tickets ahead of time. New Year's Eve, the 31st, typically has a very large crowd tradition here in Johnstown. And on the 30th, it's a resolution night. We're also giving away Tomahawks calendars throughout the weekend. And Vibe Fitness Studio in Johnstown will be giving away a prize pack for the best New Year's resolution. You can sign up for a chance to win at their table behind Section 22 and the War Memorial on December 30th. And then, like you said, we kick off a lot of home games. We're home until, I believe, mid-February. So plenty of chances to see us.
Yeah, and I know it's halfway through the season, Mike, but fans can still get tickets in advance, and give them how they can do that.
Oh, of course, you can go to Ticketmaster.com if you don't want to pay the online fees. I know I'm a real stickler for that. You can always stop by the War Memorial box office. They're 10 to 5 Monday through Friday. Group tickets can go through our office at the War Memorial behind Section 14. We're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. And, of course, you can always call Ticketmaster 1-800-745-3000. Lots of home games for you to come out. We have a lot of good promotions. We have Face Off Against Cancer coming up January 20th. We have First Responders Night coming up next Friday, January 7th. We're honoring local EMS and first responder personnel. So plenty of good promotions. All of that can be found on JohnstownTomahawks.com under the Schedule tab.
You know what, Mike? You and Coach both always throw me a wrinkle because you always say something and then I think off the cuff. You had mentioned group tickets, and I always watch sporting events, and I noticed that groups attend a number of sporting events. So you mentioned group tickets. Let the different organizations know about the group ticket packages, because I know those are pretty awesome. You watch some professional events, they always talk about this group is here today, this group is there. What do the Johnstown Tomahawks do for group tickets?
Well, we attract groups from, church groups for faith and family. We get scout groups. We get, and then groups, of 15 guys that just are coming down for a good night out of hockey. Our prices, we offer some discounts, 10 to 25, and then 25 and up. So the more people you get, the more chances, the more opportunities you have to save on your tickets. Great deal, and we always typically have about 3 groups per game, big groups, and those help us out in the stands. And usually when they come in, they have a very good experience, and that's a big part of I think why we're so successful in this league is we built a pretty good reputation, and we make sure that we take care of our fans, and our group tickets are very important. Season ticket holders are very important as well. So we take care of you. If you decide to spend your hard-earned money, you come watch our boys play. And we have a good team this year, so I don't see why not. We make sure we take care of you, and you have a good experience here at the War Memorial.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. You had mentioned the group tickets, and I think it's great. I know that the fans come out and support the boys. I'm sure the fans are ready for some hockey, Mike. They've had a couple of weeks off. The boys were on the road a lot in the fall, and now as we get to the winter, like we said, a lot of home games moving forward, and I'm excited. I mean, I know Coach and I talked point-wise, sitting at third in the division, but they also have some games in hand for New Jersey. So, I think the point total there, 40 points. I think that's a little deceiving. It's obvious that we. If you just look there, we haven't played as many games. So we're going to more than make that up. We have 5 games coming up in the next 2 weeks, both against very good opponents. So we're going to see how we do in the second half. And, of course, we're going to be missing our captain this weekend, Philip Spoons. This is competing for Latvia at the IIHF World Junior Championships in Canada, playing with the big boys against Canada, United States, and Russia. So best of luck to him. I know our fans have sat in front of the TV, watched as he competed against the best the Americans had to offer yesterday. He looked pretty good. So we're awfully proud of that. I was watching the game today against Russia, Mike, and Batavia didn't do so well team-wise, but Phillips did well. I did, talking to Coach, and then I just turned on NFL Network today, and there it was. It was on against Russia. Team-wise, they took another one on the chin today, but it's certainly nice to have that exposure for the Johnstown Tomahawks and having that quality of player. I mean, you've got a kid playing in the World Junior Championships, Mike. What does that do for the organization itself?
Oh, we're really proud of that. And, on top of having a player in the NHL already, it speaks volumes of how well Coach Mike and Coach Nick and everybody involved in the hockey ops have done in terms of recruiting. Phillips came to us 2 years ago, as a very young kid, fresh from the USHL, didn't quite make it there. He's really developed into the go-to guy. He's our captain for a reason, and he's part of the top line. He's, I believe, third in assists with 24 assists. I could be wrong, but he dishes the puck more often. He'll chip in a goal offensively sometime, once or twice, but really he's the setup guy. And he just plays any role that Coach Mike gives him. And, I don't want to speak out of turn for the hockey ops, but he's one of the key players, and we have a lot of them. Our whole team's up and down our lineup. We have a lot of great young men and great hockey players, and that's really a testament to how well Mike Letizia and Nick Shackelford have ddone in the off-season recruiting these guys.
Yeah, this roster is looking really good, Mike. And I'd mentioned it to Coach. Phillips is a catalyst. You look on the front page of the scoring leaders on the NAHL, and there's his name. He's not the big.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, he's not going to.
We
be
have
a big
3
goal
players.
scorer. Yeah, but
we have 3 players in the top 20. So.
Yep.
Dalton, of course, Dalton Hunter's he takes the headlines with 18 goals, 16 assists, 34 points. He's well on his way to having a very, very impressive year. And Donovan Ott can't leave him out. 14 points, 14 assists, 14 goals, 28 points. Our whole first line has really been a very big contributing factor to our success. But really, and Coach Mike would probably tell you this, it's a team effort, and anyone on our team would say that.
Yeah, it's going to be. I'll tell you, Mike, it's going to be exciting here. The next couple months, watching this team progress.
I actually have a question for you, Troy.
Yeah,
when are you gonna get out here to watch a game?
Oh, I'm trying hard, Mike. I'm trying hard. With a lot of stuff going on my plate, and it really is hard to come down. But I'm trying to work the schedule out where I can not have to get up at 3 a.m. on Saturday morning to go to the other job. The thing is, it's hard when you work for an organization and taking time off. You got to give that notice. So I'm looking for the right moment to be able to do it. But I will be down. I believe I will be.
No excuses this time. We have a lot of home games, so and a lot of chances to see us.
Yeah, I got to work it out. I know you got to rip me on that one. But I would love to come down and just do the show live right after one of the games or get some sound bites anyway with Coach. Him and I have.
I think that's something we can work on, and I'm sure Coach would be all for that. Maybe if we win, if we would win that game, I'm sure he'd be all for it.
Yeah, well, see, here's the thing, Mike. So a little part of me is nervous because if I come down and the team loses, Coach is going to run me out of that building faster than anybody else. I'll be the first guy he's looking for, and he'll be chasing me out of the War Memorial. But no, I'll get down. You've got my word. I'm just trying to work out my schedule so that I don't drive to Johnstown, then just drive back and go to work in the morning on Saturday. That would not probably be too wise. But no,
we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it, and once again, just want to say if fans want to pick up tickets, there's plenty of opportunities to do that. Tickets are still available for New Year's Eve, but they will be going fast here. It usually picks up right around this time, and we're expecting a pretty good crowd this weekend. So get those tickets early and come watch us play. The boys are back against a pretty good opponent in Fairbanks.
We're not going to let the cat out of the bag, Mike. When I come down, there might be some fan interaction for one of the shows. So I've already planned it.
All right.
I've got to work out all the logistics. But as always, Mike, a pleasure talking to you. I'm glad Johnstown Tomahawk hockey is back. And we'll get ready for the second half of the season. We'll talk next week.
All right. Sounds good. See you then.
Well, the music has started. The horn has sounded. Another episode of Hawkey Central is in the books. As always, a great time talking to Coach Letizia and Communications Manager Mike Gosnell. Make sure you head out to the War Memorial this Friday as the Tomahawks take on Alaska Fairbanks. Go Hawks!